As concerns continue to mount over the scarcity of the naira, President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday met with the chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum and Governor of Sokoto State Aminu Tambuwal and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Kebbi State Governor Alhaji Abubakar Bagudu at the State House Abuja. The meeting, at the instance of the president, was also attended by the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Emefiele, and the chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdulrasheed Bawa. This was just as Emefiele assured that the Apex Bank would not allow itself to be used or seen as an agent to frustrate forthcoming polls. Also yesterday, the federal government flagged the opposition parties for turning the Naira redesign issue into a political blame game. Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, gave the condemnation yesterday in Abuja at the PMB scorecard series in the 2015 to 2023 amidst hardship that the fuel scarcity has trailed supply disruption and the recent Naira scarcity. A lot to talk about as regards these issues.
Yes, a lot to talk about, limited time, so I'll just go straight into it with regards to the impact of the Naira redesign policy. Perhaps just talking about the scarcity of the Naira, not in truth the policy in itself, as we've talked about the fact that a number of people have looked at the merits of the policy, but the issue on ground is the scarcity of the Naira. Now, yesterday, some young people, mainly young people in Abeokuta and some parts of the country had laid siege on some banks and gone quite violent in protest of the scarcity and the hardship, the constant hardship on Nigerians. Another aspect to look at this with regards to the news that Rufai has just mentioned is the politicizing of this policy. Unfortunately, this has now become the center stage, it has taken center stage and become the conversation where there have been accusations and counter-accusations from political parties. The danger here is that politicians must take responsibility that we are managing. It's a very critical and delicate time in the political architecture of the nation. And in so doing, we must be mindful of the words that we use and the accusations that are made, especially without proof or that seem a bit self-serving. This is because yesterday a young person was shot in Abeokuta. According to reports thus far, he's been taken to hospital, but we don't know the outcome. There are lives at stake. There are people who are worried, and the lack of trust of Nigerians, unfortunately, in the federal government is making the situation quite worse. Politicians must begin to look beyond their personal interest and instead think about what is good for this nation, this economy, and the people of Nigeria. I must mention that and just to round off here to say that whilst the president has called the governors as PGF, the Progressive Governors Forum, and the Nigerian Governors Forum to have conversations around this, I want to talk about the impact on the elections. Unfortunately, it has been said that this redesigned policy has nothing to do with, it's not targeted at any politician, political party, or person. But because of the timing of it, we cannot but link it to election, which the first in terms of the presidency and the National Assembly is on the 25th of February. What the governor of the central bank said and assured Nigerians yesterday was that they were not in any way going to scuttle the success of the elections. They were going to provide INEC with the resources required, including notes, as well as movement and transportation of sensitive materials during the election period. Also, the security agencies led by, speaking then, the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, spoke about and assured Nigerians that they were going to secure lives and properties in the season. I think this is a message that must be topmost because we've heard of stories around, Scotland and the like. So this is very important for Nigerians to hear assurances by our leaders that elections will take place and nothing should jeopardize this.
Well, yesterday, the president was supposed to meet with governors. He had met 4 governors of the APC, previously, at the end of which meeting he promised that he should be given 4 days to come up with, a position on the request for the extension of the deadline for the, old Naira notes. Now, that 7 days will expire by February 10. But he couldn't meet with the larger, community of governors yesterday. That meeting was cancelled. And the reason that has been given is because there are 2 cases in court. The case taken by the APC governors of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara to court, and also the case instituted by 4 political parties, which led to the Court of Justice in Niche, granting an interim injunction against the federal government of Nigeria from tampering with the deadline as it is until the matter, the substantive suit, and the motion on notice are determined. So you will say that on the surface of it, the president didn't want to engage in anything that would be just sub judice. Hence, a smaller meeting was held, which involved all the persons that have been mentioned. Basically, NSA, DJ, DSS, Chairman EFCC, Chairman Progressive Governors Forum, Chairman Governors Forum, and all of that. But nobody knows the details of what was decided at that meeting because there was no briefing at the end of the day. But we can imagine that, what must concern the president will be the state of the nation at this moment. There is fuel scarcity. There is scarcity of new Naira notes. Riots have been reported from Edo State to Akwa Ibom State. Yesterday, Ogun State in Abeokuta, imminent threat of violence in Kwara State. The Trade Union Congress also threatening, to go on strike, to call out, workers if nothing is done. Stories of agony, anguish, suffering, pain in different parts of the country. So this is where we are. So bad that, in fact, people now sleep in front of ATM machines, hoping that money will drop miraculously. Now bankers now jump the fence to run away. Some banks, in fact, have refused to open their doors. Yesterday, I called a bank. I said I will send somebody. By the time I got there, the boy said there was nobody in the place. They had fled. This was before 2 p.m. So this is the problem that we have found ourselves in. I think, despite the fact that the president does not want to do anything to be seen, to be acting in a sub judice manner, the time has come to call a National Council of State meeting. That National Council of State meeting will be a meeting of minds of those who are leading Nigerians, and they can have an open forum on all of these issues. I don't think that the presidency will be violating any law if it calls a National Council of State meeting. Why? Because of the election. Are we prepared? INEC met with CBN governor yesterday. CBN governor gave assurances. But has INEC deployed any material? Has he taken delivery of all the materials that it requires? The INEC chairman is so worried. After his meeting with the CBN governor, he went to see the National Security Advisor. The National Security Advisor assured him and all of us that those who are in charge of security management in Nigeria, they know they are ready. Are they ready? He says, we know what we are doing. Do they really know what they are doing? He says the election, there will be no violence. Are we sure? Because this threat is before, during, and after. And from what we have seen and the tension in the country, there is indeed cause for concern. There is indeed cause for alarm. And that is why I think that the big issue now is about the election. There are some people who have been saying the election should be postponed. You have on one side those who say the election should be postponed, those saying, no, you can't postpone this election. But if you look at it critically, within the purview of the Constitution, you have a window of 150 days and then 90 days before the handover date of May 29. And if you look at it, it looks like there's still a window. We may wake up tomorrow and some people will agree and say, oh, we are shifting this election. Now, if there is that shift, that also could have implications for a lot of things, not least of all, the confidence of the people in their government, their trust in the government, and what do they make of all the promises being made that we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. This is where we are, it looks, at a crossroads in Nigeria. And the Council of State meeting can address all of this without prejudice to whatever matter is before the courts.
Speaking of the Council of State meeting, real quickly, President Buhari has convened that already. That's going to happen on Friday. There's an emergency Council of State meeting already convened. The story broke a couple of hours ago. Secondly, I'll just beg the politicians, because they are the dramatic personnel in all of this. And Nigerians too, please shine your eyes. This Naira redesign policy, I keep asking, did it break any CBN law? No. What is the bone of contention? People need money. Is it that people have not been able to return their money to the banks, their old notes? No. The bone of contention is supply. Is the CBN working on supply? Yes. Yesterday alone in Edo State, 1 billion had been sent over the weekend. I took a drive around ATMs and I saw people are getting money. Yes, the queue is a lot, but people are getting money. But the queue is a lot. In fact, I even went out there to interview a couple of people. It's better than what it was last week. Concerning the protests in the country, I keep telling people the solution to a headache is not cutting the head off. I condemn what was done by those that went to destroy banks in Abeokuta. Also, the police should not always resort to using live ammunition to shooting people during protests. Let's keep the peace, let's keep calm. Politicians should not orchestrate things. I beg you. Also, I'll have to call on those in authority to please calm things down, because we can't go through this cycle all over again. And it has to be said, for us to be able to build a country, we have to try as much as possible to ensure that the laws of the land work. There was a letter written hitherto by the governors putting forward some suggestions as regards this. Let us look at some of those suggestions put forward. You know, the letter was signed, I think, by the Governors Forum. I also met with President Buhari yesterday. But politicians should stop overinflating things as regards the naira scarcity. Their pains and gains will come. There's violence, but we'll hold elections. Let us look forward to a better country. And I marvel so much when politicians do all they do now. The same people that hoarded COVID-19 palliatives from people are the ones acting like they care now. Let us temper things down. This country is for all of us. We'll build this country and it will work for us.